Hello everybody. Today let us study or continue our class of post-fertilization changes in angiosperms or flowering plants. In the last class, after fertilization, we have studied the development of embryo and endosperm and the different ways of development of endosperm as well as the development of two types of embryo, the dicotyledonous embryo and monocotyledonous embryo in case of angiosperms. Let us continue the study with the development of seed and fruit. With the complete development of the embryo and the endosperm within the ovule, slowly and steadily the ovule gets transformed into a seed and the ovary gets transformed into a fruit. So we started the syllabus or the chapter with the flower, floral whorls, etc. And within the flower, now while studying the formation of seed and fruit, we have to remember that ovary, the basal part of the carpel, is the most important structure. All the other parts, the calyx, corolla, the androecium, and the stigma and style of the carpel, they slowly dry and wither away, fall off from the flower. The only structure which remains on the flower is the ovary. And within the ovary, ovules are present, and these two structures of the flower, the ovary, slowly after fertilization, metamorphoses into fruit, changes into fruit, and the ovules which are present within his ovary, they change into seeds. Now, first of all, let us study how the development of seed takes place in the ovary. Two most important structures in post-fertilization changes we studied are the development of endosperm and the development of embryo. Endosperm, embryo. These two develop where? Within a ovule. And this ovule, during the course of development of these two structures, transforms into a seed. According to the type of plants in angiosperms, the formation of seed also differs. Monocotyledonous plants, monocotyledonous seeds, dicotyledonous plants, dicotyledonous seed. These monocot and dicot seeds are separate seeds, and there are also other means to classify or differentiate the types of seeds. We also study seeds as endospermic seeds and non-endospermic seeds. So here, this is a dicot seed. This can also be called as a non-endospermic seed. This is a monocot seed. The example showing here is the endospermic seed. So the presence of endosperm is not always specific. Dicot seeds are with endosperm, without endosperm. Monocot seeds are mostly always with endosperm. Most of them are with endosperm. Let us study the dicot seed first. Development of the dicot seed. During the course of development of the dicotyledonous seed, or here the dicot seed which we study is a non-endospermic seed. It is a non-endospermic seed. Now, what is the use of endosperm? When the embryo in the seed begins to develop, this developing embryo consumes, it utilizes all the endosperm. In the initial development of the seed, there is both endosperm is present, developing embryo is also present. But the developing embryo grows at the cost of endosperm. It takes up the food in the form of endosperm. It consumes endosperm and begins to develop. Therefore, in such seeds, the adult seed does not show any remaining endosperm in it. All the endosperm is consumed. Such seeds are called as non-endospermic seeds. So such seeds are called as non-endospermic seeds, or they can be also called as X-albuminous. Non-endospermic or X-albuminous seeds. Let us study the details of this dicot seed, or also we can call it as X-albuminous seed. The example here is a bean. Externally, this seed is covered by two layers, the testa and tegmen. These two layers are formed by transformation of the integuments. In the ovule, there are outer integument and inner integument. The outer integument transforms the soft and succulent integuments, becomes dry and hard and gets transformed into outer testa. The inner integument, it also dries and that converts into tegmen. So in this way, the ovule which shows outer and integument are testa and tegmen. Collectively, the testa and tegmen are the outer layers of the seed called seed coat. So externally, these two form seed coat. Testa from outer integument and tegmen from inner integument. Now later, during the development, as the embryo grows, the embryo completely consumes, eats up the endosperm. Therefore, this is non-endospermic or X-albuminous seed. As we say it as a dicot seed, the embryo present it is of dicots. There are two cotyledons, 1 and 2 cotyledons present in the embryo. In between these two cotyledons, the inner closed structure is the embryo axis. Now this is embryo axis. Without excluding cotyledons, if we leave up cotyledons, the straight structure which is seen here is the embryo axis. The embryo axis here shows the presence of the structures. This is first node, this is epicotyle, this is plumule, this is hypocotyle, this is a radicle. Now this embryo axis is present. Embryo axis is present within these two cotyledons, showing on towards the one side the epicotyle terminating into plumule. Towards the lower side there is hypocotyle which terminates into a radicle. Now this embryo consisting of plumule, epicotyle, cotyledons, hypocotyle and radicle, after developing to a certain extent, it undergoes a resting period. It develops for some time, slowly becomes dry, undergoes a resting period within the seed coat, and thus the seed now enters into dormancy. Many times in the developing seed, the nucellus of the ovule, the nucellus which is present in the ovule, the diploid main central parenchymus tissue called nucellus, it totally degenerates, disorganizes. Whereas in some seeds such as castor, the nucellus remains as a thin layer, and this thin layer of nucellus is called perisperm. Perisperm is not present in all the seeds. In the seeds such as the castor, example is castor, the castor the nucellus, it remains as a thin layer called as perisperm. This is regarding the structure of a dicot seed. The same kind of seeds are also produced in monocotyledons. The example taken here to study the monocotyledonous seed is of maize, and maize we also studied as an endospermic seed. Now what is endosperm? The nutritive tissue which nourishes the developing embryo. The nutritive tissue which nourishes the developing embryo is the endosperm. When endosperm is completely consumed during the course of development of embryo, non-endospermic seeds are produced. When endosperms remain more or less in the developed seed, totally matured or developed seed, then such seeds are called as endospermic seeds. They can be called as albuminous seeds. In such endospermic seed, here we can say that most of the part of the seed is taken up by endosperm, and only 25% of the part of the seed is left for the developing embryo. So here the lower part, this part shows the presence of embryo, whereas the upper part is endosperm. In the course of development, in most of the seeds of monocotyledons, common example here we take is maize, the pericarp, the fruit wall which is developed from the ovary, and the seed coat, the testa and tegmen which form the seed coat, they are attached to one another to form a composite structure called as hull. Many times the fruit wall and seed, as we say in many plants, they are separate. The seeds are found within the fruit, but here in some, the fruit wall means the ovary wall and the wall of ovary, the fruit wall and the seed coat, are fused to form a single structure called as hull. Externally, in the seed, there is a proteinaceous layer called as aileron layer. Internally, most part of the 3/4 part of the seed is filled with the nutritive tissue called as endosperm. Towards the lower side, at one side, there is embryo showing only one cotyledon. This is only one cotyledon. Here these are two cotyledons, hence a dicot seed. Here there is only one cotyledon, hence a monocot seed. In the monocot seed, the cotyledon we call it as scutellum. Here the word is cotyledons, but here we see the word labeled as scutellum. Now this cotyledon has a special word called as scutellum. It is thin, membranous or papery in structure. Here the cotyledons are thick and store reserve food material. Here the cotyledons are thin, papery, shield-like and does not show the accumulation of food material. They do not have reserve food material in larger amounts. Why? Because here the endosperm is left as it is. Only little is eaten, little is consumed. Hence the cotyledon or the scutellum is thin and papery even in mature seeds. We can see the embryo axis here also, as here there is embryo axis in the center showing plumule, epicotyle, node, hypocotyle and radical. The same embryo axis is also present in case of monocotyledons. But the difference between the embryo axis of monocotyledons and dicotyledons is the radical of the monocotyledonous embryo is covered by a protective covering called as coleorhiza, whereas the plumule is covered with a protective covering called as coleoptile. Generally, coleorhiza, coleoptile, the protective coverings of the radical and plumule we study only in monocotyledonous plants, monocotyledonous seeds. But the same words, coleorhiza and coleoptile, we do not study in dicotyledons. They are not present here. They are present here. Protection for radical given by coleorhiza tissue, protection for plumule given by coleoptile tissue. This is how mostly this is the difference between the monocot and dicot seed during the course of development of the seeds after fertilization from the ovules. So in all, now we come to know that after fertilization, post-fertilization takes place in the ovule. If it is a dicotyledonous ovule, it develops into a dicot seed. If it is a monocotyledonous plant, the ovule develop into a monocot seed. Depending upon the inner development, slight changes occur in dicot and monocot seeds. The seeds can also be later studied as endospermic and non-endospermic seed. If the endosperm is totally consumed by the developing embryo, those are non-endospermic or ex-albuminous seeds. If the seeds remain consume only a little endosperm during embryo development, most of the endosperm is remain as it is in mature seeds. Those are albuminous seeds. It is not 100% specific that all the dicotyledons cannot be called as non-endospermic. There are some, such as castor, etc., or groundnut, which show albumin. Monocotyledons, most of them are endospermic seeds. Now, when seeds begin to become dry after the complete development from the ovule is going to complete, the outer ovary wall also gets metamorphosed, transformed into ovary. Thus, at the end of fertilization, from the ovary wall, there is formation of fruit wall called as pericarp, and there is formation of seed from the structure called as ovule. The development of the fruit wall, the pericarp from the ovary wall, we have studied it in details during the 11th standard. We also know, if we recall the study of the 11th standard, we can say that the pericarp is the outer wall of the fruit, means developed from the ovary wall. In some plants, the pericarp is not differentiated. In some plants, such as the mango, coconut, etc., the pericarp further may be divided into epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. The further study, the pericarp, its parts in different fruits, this is all studied in detail during the 11th standard. We can also revise in 12th standard how the pericarp arises, the different parts of the pericarp arise, which is the edible part. This all has to be studied in our activity to know how fruits are formed after post-fertilization changes in all the different types of plants. We have also studied true and false fruits. If a fruit is developed from only and only the ovule, it is called a true fruit. And if the fruit is developed from the ovary along with other parts such as the thalamus, etc., then such a fruit is called as false fruit. So true fruit, false fruit are also, all of them are also studied in 11th standard. So during the study of these seed and fruit, we can be called to know the actual type of the structures present in a fruit and their development. What is the significance of this seed and fruit? The significance of fruit is, during the development of the fruit and seeds, the fruit protects the inner seeds. Second significance of the fruit is, it nourishes the developing seeds. It supplies the necessary required minerals, organic substances, water, extra protection from the environment. All is given by the fruit wall or the fruit, the pericarp, to the developing seed. Then what about the seeds? What is the significance of seeds? Seeds are the most efficient vehicles of propagation. So during reproduction, seeds are formed. Why seeds are formed? Because these seeds can germinate further to produce a new plant. The embryo which is present in the seeds is a miniature plant, a small microscopic plant which after germination develops into an adult plant or a new plant. The seeds also skip the unfavorable conditions of the environment. Then there are many structures which are developed within the fruit and seeds, which also help the dispersal of seeds from one place to another place. So significance, importance of fruit and seed, few points, 4 points we have to remember. First point is, fruits are the structures which give protection to inner developing seed. Second, the fruit or the outer pericarp of the fruit, it provides nourishment and water, etc., to the developing seeds. Thirdly, the seeds are the most efficient propagules for the production of new plants. Fourth, the seeds can skip the unfavorable conditions. They can remain dormant during the unfavorable conditions and thus protect the embryo in unfavorable conditions. Then fifth, the seeds develop special structures in them, maybe the pappus calyx or the light weight of the seeds, the dormant embryo. All these structures, they help the seed and the fruit to get dispersed from one place to another place. So in this way, with the completion of the formation of fruit and seed in the ovary and studying the significance of the fruit and seed, we complete the sexual reproduction in angiosperms. There is little more given in this chapter to study is the dormancy related to the seeds, then something regarding the viability regarding this of the seeds, then apomixis or apomictic seeds, little different kind of the formation of seeds when compared to sexual reproduction, asexual seeds, apomictic seeds. These are also to be studied in this chapter. Now, what is dormancy? The inability of the seeds, to germinate even in favorable conditions is known as dormancy. Fruits are produced, within the fruit seeds are produced. Seeds won't germinate after they are produced immediately. Immediate germination of seed does not take place. They remain dormant for some time. They undergo resting period for some time. Germinate later on after few months, few years, etc. This is known as dormancy. What is dormancy? The inability of the seeds or the embryo in the seeds to remain in resting period, to skip even in favorable conditions, is known as dormancy. The dormancy has been evolved mostly to skip the unfavorable conditions or unfavorable time in the course of evolution. There is also another word to be known as viability. What is viability? The ability, the potential ability of the seeds to germinate after a period of rest or after dormancy is known as viability. What is viability? The potential ability of the seed to germinate into a new plant after the period of dormancy is known as viability. Few seeds germinate after the formation or undergoing dormancy after 1 month, few take 2 months, few take 1 year. Few seeds have retained the viability for thousands of years. Seeds may undergo dormancy and later resume germination into new plant after thousands of years. So, viability of the embryo within a seed is a very big topic to be studied. Here we have to just understand the terminologies, dormancy and viability. The inability of the seed to germinate even in favorable conditions during resting period is known as dormancy. The ability of the seed to germinate into a new plant after dormancy is the viability of the seed. Few seeds undergo dormancy for months, for years, some for 2 years, some for 100 years, from 1000 years after dormancy also seeds can germinate. There are examples given in our textbook such as the Lupinus arcticus. It can germinate after 10,000 years of dormancy. The seed remains in dormant conditions for up to 10,000 years and then can germinate. It means it has the dormancy period of 10,000 years and the embryo remains viable, shows germination after 10,000 years. In Phoenix dactylifera, 2,000 years of dormancy has been studied, which later the embryo becomes viable and germinates. In some of the plants such as the citrus, the seeds are very short-lived. The tiny and easy for dispersal seeds are also developed, such as striga, orchids, etc. So, little difference is there between different seeds while studying dormancy and viability. Only the terminologies are to be studied thoroughly. What is dormancy and what is viability? It has been given in our textbook also, and therefore with examples we have to study the definitions of dormancy as well as the viability of the seeds. Besides this, the last topic to study here is about the apomixis and the apomictic seeds and the parthenocarpy. So in the next class we shall finish the chapter, conclude the chapter with the study of apomixis or apomictic seeds and parthenocarpy. Thank you.